Hello friends, welcome to the Java tutorials by Vartyata Technical Tutorials. In this tutorial today we are going to discuss inheritance, that is the one of the basic pillar of object oriented programming. What is inheritance? Acquiring the properties of other class is called inheritance. The class that inherits the property is called the subclass, and the class from which the subclass inherits the property is called the superclass in Java programming. Subclass can enhance the properties as per the requirements. That means the features can be added in the subclass, including the features of superclass. Subclass also inherits the method from superclass. We'll understand all the scenario and the concepts of inheritance through the example later in this video. Suppose there is a scenario of school having multiple type of employees. Teacher, clerical staff, support staff is also type of employee for the school. So in this scenario, employee would be the superclass and teacher, clerk and supporting staff would be the subclass. So we'll understand this scenario with the help of the class diagram. So in the superclass, that is employee class, there will be some properties. Those are common for the all employees. Employee ID, first name, last name, department name or grade pay. For teacher, some specific properties are class name, class in which the teacher is class teacher, what is the core subject of teacher, that is. For clerical staff, the system that is assigned to the clerk, the profile on which clerk is working on. These are specific properties for clerk and these are specific properties to teacher. But these 5 properties are common for both clerk and teacher. So the idea is to keep the common properties or the common features in the superclass and specific properties or specific features in the subclass. So what are the rules for inheritance? First we will take it for the methods. The first rule in inheritance is private methods are never inherited. That means the method that is declared as private in the superclass never gets inherited. For these two rules we will understand them later in this video. For now we will understanding first, fourth and fifth. Static methods are never inherited. We can use static methods only through the class name dot static method name or class instance name dot static method name anywhere in the code. Even if you write the same static method signature in the subclass, it will considered as a different method or subclass, not the overriding method. That means if a method is declared as a private method in the superclass, it is never inherited in the subclass. Let's understand it with the help of an example of code. Here I have a project, simple Java project, and I have 2 packages. First I will create the main class of the project. I have created the main class. Now I am going to create employee class. As per our code example, I will create the property. So these are the properties of the employee class. These properties are common for all the employees. Now I am going to create constructor for this. and I'm going to override the toString method for this class using all the fields. Now I'm going to create a class for teacher. As per our example, teacher will be having class name and course subject. I'm creating a constructor for this. Now I'm also going to create getter and setter. For all the fields. Now another class as clerk. As per our example, it will be having two properties, sister number and profile. So I will be creating a constructor and getter and setters. So here I have done with 4 classes. One is our main class, one is employee class, one is teacher class that extends. So teacher class extends the employee class. Here it is giving error on super. Why? Because in our super class there is no default constructor, so we'll be creating it first. Remove this error. Now we can see that error has gone. Clerk class also extends the employee class. Now in the employee class we will create one method that is calculating the salary of the employee. Get salary. The logic behind calculating the salary of employee is create pay multiply by 10,000, or we can take it as grade pay multiply by 2. We'll convert it into the double and return it from here. So this is the method that is calculating the salary of an employee. Here in the main class, now I'm going to create object of teacher class. Here I have to pass all the parameters those are required for the constructor of teacher class. But the challenge we are going to face in this program is we can provide the values to the teacher object with class name and course subject, but for the common properties of employees we are going to create a call to the constructor of superclass and providing the values to all these properties. Here we have already created a constructor with the parameters. Here comes the role of super keyword that is used in the constructor of the subclass to call the constructor of superclass. So here in teacher class we will call the constructor of superclass with the values those are needed for superclass constructor. I am copying all the properties and going to pass all these parameters to the superclass constructor. Same thing I am going to do for clerk object. So we'll start one by one assigning the values. First is employee ID. Let's department name as academic. Then grade pay. Then class name, first standard suppose, then subjects. Let's take it as English. So here the object of teacher we are going to create. For the object of clerk, we are going to do the same for this as well. Department as clerk, and for clerk some specific properties are system number and profile. So in the last two parameters we will pass the system number and profile of clerk. And now its system number is integer, so we will change this property and now it's fine. So as we can see, we have used the common code that is in employee class and the specific code that is in teacher class and clerk class, and we have created two objects. So this is the basic benefit of inheritance. We can use the common codes and we avoid the repetition of code. For clerk class we don't have to write again the same things, and for teacher class as well, again we don't have to write the same code. We have put the common code in employee class and specific code to clerk and teacher class. So when I'm printing it with the sys out, I can see the values those I have assigned to the objects. First I will recheck I have created the toString method, because toString method is called whenever we do a sysout to the object. So I am using it sysout with all inherited fields as well as its specific fields. Same we have to do for teacher class. All its inherit field and its specific fields. what will happen when I run this program? As I can see, there are two objects have been created in the heap memory. One is teacher, one is for clerk, and I can see the specific values. Those are assigned to the objects. So here comes the benefit of inheritance. I have created one class, kept the common properties in a single class, and specific properties to the subclass. Now we'll move on. We understood that private methods are never inherited. So in our example, if I see the employee class, I have created one method, get salary, that is calculating the salary of an employee. Here, if I print the salary of teacher and clerk, what I will see, one is 20,000, another is 16,000. That is just double to the grade pay of these objects. Suppose I want to create a different calculation for teacher object. Then what I will do, I will override the method get salary in teacher class. For overriding any method, we have to use the annotation @override. Now for teacher salary, I am going to change the logic here with the multiplication of 4. So now the salary of teacher will be calculated as per the new logic, that is multiply by 4 the grade pay. And if I run this program again, then I will see the change. Now the salary of teacher is 40,000, while the salary of clerk is 16,000 itself, because the clerk class is still using the method that is in employee class, while for teacher class I have overridden the method get salary. That's why it is reflecting the different logic for these two values here. This is the concept called overriding. Now we will understand first rule of inheritance. Private methods are never inherited. I can override any method in the subclass if and only if it is inherited from the superclass. If I put @override annotation on any method, that means this method must be present in the superclass definition. Here we can see the get salary method that is overridden in the subclass. What will happen if this method is never get inherited from superclass? First rule that we understood, private method never inherited. So if I create this method as a private method, then what will happen? Now we can see in the teacher class it is showing the compile time error that this method cannot be overridden because it's the private method in the employee class. It shows that private methods are never inherited and cannot be overridden in the subclass. If I remove the private keyword from here, now I can see again the code is working fine here. The thing that we have to understand, static methods are also never inherited. Let's take the example here itself. If I create this method static here, I cannot use non-static properties in this method. I will put a hard-coded value in this method for a while, and here I can see the error that I cannot override this method because this method is now created as a static. So this clearly tells us that static methods are never inherited. So we'll just revert it, and here also, because we just put it to understood the concept of static. So now we can see we are able to. So now we can see the code is not showing any error, any compile time error for this. So this thing clearly tells us that static methods are never inherited and cannot be overridden anyhow. So now we'll move on to the second and third rule of the inheritance. If superclass and subclass both are in the same package, then default, protected and public methods will be inherited. While if superclass and subclass are in different package, then only protected and public methods will be inherited. We'll understand this rule by moving our class in the different packages. Suppose I move teacher class to the different package. Suppose I move it to the teacher package and update the references accordingly in the project. So now I can see that I am not able to override this method, because in the superclass this method is declared as default method, and because the default methods cannot be used outside of the package. So as for the properties, default properties cannot be used outside of the package. Same as I can see the error with properties, these properties cannot be used outside of the package, and this method cannot be used outside of the package. If it is not used outside of the package and it is never inherited to this class, I cannot override this method in the subclass. So it clearly tells that default methods outside the package are never inherited. If I change the scope of this method as protected method, now I can see in teacher class I can override this method, but still the properties are not accessible in this class because these are still having default scope. So now we'll change the scope of all these properties as well. Now I can see in the teacher class all the errors has gone, because now I am able to access all the properties of the class, because those are made public and the method has declared as protected. Now I can override this method as well. Even if I change the scope of method from protected to public, I can override it in the class with the same scope. So as we can see the rule that if superclass and subclass both are in same package, then the method will be inherited with the scope of default, protected and public. While the classes superclass and subclass are in different packages, then only protected and public methods will be inherited. So the methods those are inherited only can be overridden. If I go to the main class and if I run the program, I can see now it's working fine even if I change the package of the teacher class. So friends, in this tutorials we understood the rules of the inheritance and overriding in inheritance. In the next tutorial we'll meet with some more information regarding the polymorphism and the use of inheritance. Till then, bye bye. Thank you.